Sleeping till the crack of noon. Late night howling at the moon. Going out when I wanna. Staying up till 2 or 3. Ah, Big Tom waits. What do we got here? What on earth is going on with Big YouTube? There we go. Da, da, da. Live. Epic fantasy novel edit. RAPAXORIS. Day fucking. Where we go? Not math. 17. I'll be sleeping till the crack of noon. Late night howling at the moon. Going out when I wanna. What in the world? I just pop into the other server. A dude, Buck Lancaster, with Chris Dorner as his profile pic, just says "Death to America." What a G! What a G! All right. It's just as well if nobody's online because this is. I'm gonna go back to the end of chapter 15 and do like a little work right here. It's not even chapter 15, it's chapter 1.6, I think. Ugh. So sleepy over nothing. Let me see here. How long is this chapter anyhow? So this starts. I guess there's a stabbing in it, so it can be a little bit longer. Oh yeah, yeah. We got it's kind of an overburdened chapter here. So 1.6 starts at page 34. Blah 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 blah. This is 2 pages of them fucking blundering around and being like, guy's life isn't worth a peasant's piss. And so right around here is where the chapter might end. So page 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so 10 they make the deal. And this is where I start editing again. So from 34 to 45. So this is like a double chapter. If we do about 7 pages a chapter, which is okay because it's there's a lot of framework happening here. This is where about half of the characters decide, yeah, we're gonna get together and go on a quest. So pretty pivotal. Question as to whether or not the readers will find it boring or not. Mm-hmm. All right, so screams rang for blocks, but stirs the hooks. Mm-hmm. I remember having a problem with this yesterday. All right, do it, Scourge growled. His screams rang for blocks. The screams rang for blocks, but his time had not yet come. When it was clear he would survive. Jesus. His screams rang for blocks, but his time had not yet come. When Stirs survived, they left him sobbing on the floor and set off. El Shalah and Revel divided their responsibilities and split up. Mm-hmm. El and Revel divided their responsibilities and split up. It fell on El to procure a boat and cane for the bard. Neither task was easy. Few cane peddlers would sell to a Wrath's daughter, and the ones who dared balked at the amount Yellow Hat required. El Shalah had to buy from 3 different dealers. Each time she was warned she was buying enough cane to kill 10 men. Mm. All my friends are merry. Every Tom and Dick and Harry. I wonder what does that. Yeah, so for some reason, OBS on this profile, but not on any others, will just crash once in a while. I mean, it's not a lot of work that I put into the profile. I could just recreate it. But something crashes old OBS, and I don't know what it is. It might be... it just gets fed up waiting for chats, and it just fucking adios. Mm-hmm. Next was the Gray Key. Next was the Gray Key. The one-eyed master of boats was suspicious of her sudden need for a long canoe, and demanded to know where she was bound. El Shalah responded with a veiled threat that failed spectacularly. Utterly unintimidated... The canny boatmaster was utterly unintimidated. He refused to rent her a boat. I wish I could do utter. Next was the Grey Key. The one-eyed master of boats was suspicious of her sudden need for a long canoe and demanded to know where she was bound. El Shalah responded with a veiled threat that failed spectacularly. The canny boatmaster was unintimidated and refused to rent her. At last, El Shalah was forced to buy the canoe outright. Ultimately, El Shalah was forced to buy the canoe outright for twice what it was worth. I like that ultimately there. Not enough of the ultimate. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see. I see Logic chatting. There we go. Yeah, I was trying to fucking rewrite this off stream, but I only got like a tiny bit of the chapter done that I wanted to. And then I went back and fixed this fucking thing, and ugh. Mm-hmm. Sleeping to the crack of noon, late night howling at the moon, going out when I wanna. All right, so it's not just me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh. I can't believe that imbecile is still there. There we go. George Washington says, I took a MDMA pill for the first time about 5 days ago. Weren't you just like going into training and I like study diesel mechanics or some shit like that? Good lord. Yeah, man. The after effects of feeling super high for 8 hours or whatever, like, well, it's really good shit. But yeah, the after effects of that like 6 hour high is feeling like shit for 2 or 3 days and getting nothing done. So you're not alone. Yeah, I wonder if George Washington is actually QPT based on their concordance of activity right there. It'd be about it wouldn't fucking surprise me. Yeah, both from Australia, both popping up at the same time on IRC. Hmm. Hmm. I don't really care. Next was the Grey Key. The one-eyed master of boats was suspicious of her sudden need for a long canoe. He demanded to know where she was bound. El Shalah responded with a veiled threat that failed spectacularly. I kind of want that failed spectacularly. Mm-hmm. Did I fucking find you out right there? Let's be fucking sloppy, is what it is. I'm going and doing the dumb spamming shit. Now I gotta get rid of you. Mm-hmm. I don't really have much of a choice there. I wonder if the people will confuse canning with caning. Revel arrived. Another fiasco. He'd bought a whole wheelbarrow of supplies at Red Rondy's high-end viands. Everything rhymes. Look at all this. This is a week's worth of food, El Shalah scolded. That's the idea. We have no clue how long we'll be chasing them. We'd best prepare. Why would you bother notice flooding the client that doesn't even display on the screen, dummy? Nobody cares. Lol. What a dunce. Alright. So. Let's see. Should have joined more fucking clients. Can't believe it. I can't fucking wake up at 6 in the morning on a fucking Friday and edit without interruption from these goofuses. Now somebody's saying that they're the real Dwayne. Well, I'm just gonna focus off of that old IRC. So I got work to do. That's the idea. We have no clue how long we'll be chasing them. So that's like an let me see there. Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Alright, did I fix that fucking situation? I can't believe Effie is calling him a spammer. Ridiculous. Alright. Yeah. That's not very impressive. Look at all this. This is a week's worth of food, El Shalah scolded. That's the exact idea. We have no clue at all. That's the idea. We have no clue how long it'll take to catch them. I like they'll have to stop to forage for some reason. That's the idea. We don't know how long the pursuit will last. Eventually, they'll have to stop to forage. We'll never catch them trying to lug all this upstream. Wait, is that armor? It was indeed, comma, Revel's suit of mail, wrapped in oiled leather. It was indeed. Revel's suit of mail was wrapped in oiled leather. Beneath it was his shield, emblazoned with the triple tower insignia of House Ramos. Hell yeah. I don't know if that is the real Dwayne. We can't drag a suit of armor up the Rakar. We cannot bring a... I think this should be cannot. We cannot bring a whole suit of armor... Oh, that doesn't sound right. Look how heavy it is. I like barrel full of rations. Beneath the barrel full of rations, Revel's suit of mail was wrapped in oiled leather. Beneath it was his shield. At the bottom was his shield, emblazoned with the triple Yeah, I like that. Look how heavy it is. We'll never catch them lugging all this weight. I insist. There's no telling what awaits us. Brigands, demons, who knows? Da 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 da. Oh shit, there's Big Era. Yes, hello. You see all this nonsense going on in IRC? Alright, hold on. Let me see. Oh, that's not the real Dwayne. It's easy to figure him out. Let's see. Love Yoy, brother. Determined to at least say hi. It does sound a little bit like Dwayne. I just have to give him the benefit of the doubt right there. He's having trouble switching between channels. All right, let me focus on this whole thing. Now that people are watching. All right, what do we got here? Revel, this is too much. We'll never catch them lugging all this extra weight. They say there are demons up there. Even if there aren't, there could be brigands. We'll just have to row a little harder. El Shalah held her tongue. She knew the real reason. If it came to a sword fight, Fish would cut Revel down. Stirs the Hook arrived, toting a sad sack with the meter remnants. Over his shoulder was a sad sack with the meager remnants of Half King's ransacked storeroom. I like, well, let's take a look. Was his shield? Oh, you get a point for that. Like at the bottom of the barrow. Ugh. At the bottom of the barrow was his shield, emblazoned with the triple tower insignia of House Ramos. Wrapped in sealskin. At the bottom of the barrow was his shield, emblazoned with the triple tower insignia of House Ramos. So I did a little thinking on, like, what shape of shield would this young man have? I think he just loses his shield, like, right off the bat, because it's not written into the story anywhere. That's the nice thing, like, 'cause that's the chapter that we're going to work on today. All this equipment and shit that they're bringing. So RAPAXORIS is written like a roguelike. And like a roguelike, a big part of it is that there's no food, and they're constantly battling against starvation. So the setup here is that we're going to have a bunch of supplies that he's brought like way too much shit. You know, he's like a Boy Scout, and they're going to lose all of it in the next chapter right there. Oh, that's Big Jira, Doom Meister right there. Oh yeah, we got to talk about your camera situation. That could be amazing. But another time. Now is time for the RAPAXORIS. Revel, this is too much. It was indeed. Underneath the mound of rations was Revel's suit of mail, wrapped in sealskin. At the bottom of the barrel was his shield, emblazoned with the triple tower insignia of House Ramos. Long time no Sira, the Jira. What do we got there? They say there are demons up there. We may encounter demons or brigands. We'll just have to row a little harder. Jira can kill demons. Oh yeah, I did notice that on stream right there. El Shalah held her tongue. She knew the real reason. If it came to a sword fight, Fish would cut Revel down. Stir as the hook arrived. I don't think we gain anything from the sad sack line. Mm-hmm. His eyes were deeply shadowed. Agony had burned out his lights. Stirs leaned on his deck hook like a cane. That's too much. Yeah. Comma separating two independent clauses. Yeah, we're going to fix that guy up. Oh, Era gets a couple of points right here. Are you even on the board for this one? Yeah. Oh, you're all the way up to 8. Boom. Oh, and actually, hold on. Let me do a little reorg right here. Bop. I'm tied with Bradius. And then... you can see that I was looking up... yeah, I don't want people to think that I'm, like, sitting idle when I'm, like, trying to work off a stream. But I definitely did not get the amount of work done that I need to be happy in life. So I'm going to say... Boom. All right, so let's take a look at how that paragraph may or may not have improved. Stirs the hook looked completely spent when he arrived. His eyes were flat and extinguished. Agony had burned out his lights. Over his shoulder was a sad sack with the meager remnants of Half King's ransacked storeroom. He stood on the dock with difficulty, leaning on his deck hook like a cane. "Can you even row?" Revel asked. Stirs glared back until the nobleman shrank from his hollow stare. There was no sign of the failed bard. El Shalah began. I don't think I can use propositioning. There was no sign of the failed bard. To make this really roguelike, I feel like it needs more. Honestly, I have unlimited discretion in what I do with like chapter art and titles and so forth. You really could have the chapter dividers be like screenshots from a roguelike where everything is rendered in that style or anything. That could be kind of cool. Kind of like that idea. You could do like a fancy font or something like that. It'd be great, but I don't think. I think more appropriate would be just like cool. I'd love to have like cool monstrous manual first edition type illustrations, which you can get those on Fiverr for not too expensive. I'll tell you the problem that I find like working with people on Fiverr, it may not just be me, is that people do like a really good job like for the first thing that you have them do, and every subsequent thing they just start phoning it in. They just get lazy, so you never want to use a person twice for something. But I digress. Stevedores. I can never spell that right. Never use a pronoun twice. Who said that shit? Never use a person twice. I don't know where that's from. Oh yeah, that fucking so out of it there. But yeah, it's part of the pimp game of Fiverr.com. There was no sign of the failed bard. There was no sign of the failed bard. After they'd waited half an hour, El Shalah began asking stevedores if any would take Yellow Hat's place. Laughter was their reply. They finished loading the canoe and were just about to shove off when Yellow Hat stumbled onto the dock. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they would have already loaded the fucking canoe. There we go. I like that better. Just as they were about to shove off without him, Yellow Hat stumbled onto the dock. His eyes were tinged ochre and his pants were half-laced. I had to tell Shosha goodbye, Yellow Hat explained, scrambling aboard. Shosha sounds like a Jewish name. I love the state of Israel. Yeah, I don't. I just like the first name that I can. I had to tell Shosha goodbye, Yellow Hat explained, scrambling aboard. It was easy for Hat to load in. Everything he owned was in his pockets. I like that. For 2 hours? El scoffed. She wanted to say it twice. El Shalah snorted. Yellow. El Shalah snorted at the bard. Yellow Hat returned a lascivious wink, and she broke out laughing. He hadn't smoked away all his charm just yet. There's a lot of like when fucking time related clauses in this. Mm-hmm. Let's check out Revel Scaling. Ugh. Yeah, like every time I do that, it's like you go from that what is it, pluperfect tense, noticing, yeah, like it's like past, present, fucking. Yeah, I have to tell you, for like the last 3 or 4 days, I felt like quite fucking discombobulated when trying to write. I don't know if I got that Jew flu or what's going on there, but yeah, it's a struggle. I don't feel like I'm at the top of my game for some reason. El Shalah snorted at the bard and broke out laughing when he returned a lascivious wink. Mm-hmm. I think disembarking is getting off the boat, not shoving off. Yeah, you have to get off the boat to disembark. Okay, that's better. Perhaps it's diet related. Yeah. I like stopped just eating like I was on kind of like a rough week, and then finally I was like, all right, time to get back in some kind of reasonable semblance. And yeah, I just been like fucking hanging out with women and partying and going out to restaurants and stuff like that. And I think finally I just hit a wall, and I'm like, oh, enough. And so yeah, and I just feel kind of like stupid for a little bit. I've always kind of felt like kind of cyclically like on point and off point, and I guess everybody does. And then when you're on point, you completely forget that there will ever be a phase when you're off point, and you don't take enough advantage of it. You're like, oh, I'll just chill today, when you're in this like productive, energy filled thing, and then 2 or 3 days later, you're like, oh, I don't want to do anything, and you just rue all your laziness during that time. All right, so I like that. I like his ham-fisted flourish. So that was a bunch of work on chapter 1.6, and really that whole like rewrite of 1.6 was all because I wanted to mention that he had fucking armor, because there's not a strong reason for him to actually lug armor on a canoe. Doesn't make any fucking sense, but it's in the story, so it has to be justified. 1 million emoji. Oh, oh. So I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but the super funny thing last night was that Dab Guy said that he wanted to get in a fist fight with me on August 16th or whatever. But Dab Guy weighs 140 pounds, and like at max load, I'm 240 pounds. I'm not right now, but he doesn't need to know that. So I told him I would only do it if he could get into my weight class by gaining 60 pounds in like 37 days. So he's like, all right, like I'm eating, I ate like 3 cheesecakes yesterday and everything. If that guy actually gains like 60 pounds, it's gonna be the funniest thing that I've ever seen in my goddamn life. He's saying it's been eating. He's like, I'm drinking a gallon of milk, and like I don't think you can get gangrene off of that whole. But yeah, he's just like telling everybody everything that he's eating. And honestly, like I could step into the ring and just get fucking pulverized, and I would still win because of just the terrible impact that gaining 60 pounds in a month would have on his life. He might die. Oh. There's no way that he can go through with it. Like it's very difficult actually. So, I did some research like while this was going on, and I think the most that somebody could sustainably eat is about 12,000 calories a day. That's what like those giant fat people that weigh like 600-700 pounds eat. And probably the best way to do that is with dairy for the most part, like milk and pizza and so forth. Just super calorically dense things that include like a lot of sugar and are easily faticized. But But even then, like it's just he's not gonna pull that shit off, you know. I don't know. That was his fucking date. Like if he were smart, he would have just said, "Oh, I'll fight you in December" or some shit like that. Um, Keep in mind that's very difficult for me to actually get into a fist fight with this person because they are crippled and retarded in like a very in the very literal sense of those words. So just the PR aspect of getting in a fight like that is quite difficult to manage. Um, like even the other part of it is, you know, like it's not exciting for people to watch, like just somebody bullying an obviously handicapped person. So, you know, which is his whole intent right there. Just a that's like his whole gimmick is like putting people in a shitty situation because he's insufferable and also crippled. But the so that was my solution to that was just to use this rubric where he has to gain 60 pounds in a month. It's only 2 pounds a day, but Jesus, to me that's hilarious, right? Like just him on his own, he's fucking annoying. But once you include the story aspect of like he has to go through this montage of gorging, um, it doesn't seem like he's functioning highly enough to even feed himself. I was surprised to hear he's capable. I think he requires some assistance in his daily tasks. I think he lives with his parents, and it's just insufferable on the internet. Really, they should restrict his internet access. I've never called them or talked to them or anything, but at some point, you know, if he's considerably insufferable forever, you might just be like, "Hey, I'm worried about your dumb kid. You know, you got to keep a leash on this tard." Um, but that said, I am not immune to honestly. Like, if he were smart, he would just start like a mukbang YouTube channel and train himself gorging to watch this fight because that's the kind of awful spectacle that nobody can look away from. And what he really wants in all this is attention, right? Because nobody pays attention to this guy, and for good reason. He has no value. So his way of getting attention is just to be insufferable, and then to fucking bask in that shame of being worthless. And then that's the interaction that he's able to get. So, IRC net nanny. Yeah, I mean, I understand why this is going on, but and it'd be great if we managed to rid the earth of somebody like this by encouraging them to eat themselves to death. I don't think that he would actually die in the attempt, but just imagine the suffering that he would have to go through to gain that 60 pounds. But the other part of it is his follow through is not good. Like all the projects that we've seen him attempt have failed miserably. So I don't expect that this guy can actually put on 60 pounds. You would really have to eat like it was your fucking job to do that. But it's a distraction from our purpose here. But to me, that is just the fucking highlight of hilarity. And it's just a shame that he is a coward and can't actually, like, any deal that you encourage or you entered into with that guy would be broken. So we can keep that in mind as we're writing about all these devil deals and so forth, and like backstabbing and that goes on in the story, because he very much is like the same kind of Weasley little shit. But I'm not gonna write him into the book. I don't give a fuck about this individual. All right, so let's go back to 1.8. This is the difficult chapter. Balance in all things. As the wheel of fortune lifted the old man and the thief, it rolled over the four fools who pursued them. Yeah. I like dogged pursuit. As the wheel of fortune lifted the old man and the thief, it rolled over the four fools in dogged pursuit. El Shalah's party reached the serpentine. Wow. El Shalah's party reached a serpentine stretch where the Rakar ran low, and their long canoe became a liability. El Shalah's party reached a serpentine stretch where the Rakar ran low. Their long canoe became a liability. Overburdened with supplies, the four travelers had to disembark often and scramble over stones or muddle up riverbanks. Revel hacked a path through the brambles while Yellow Hat and Stirs lugged the heavy boat, cursing him. Cursing. Let me see. I doubt he can put on 60 pounds if he can't even put on a coat by himself. Maybe his mom can do the airplane game with the spoon to help him bulk up. I just hope it's like that weight gain 3000 episode of South Park, like beefcake. It really just is like a glorious setup. That was my main criticism of that person as an internet nuisance, was that they didn't have any idea of how to like build a narrative or have a story, and they're just like really feeble attempts, and only like the dumbest people would fall for their provocations, and everybody was getting bored of me just dunking on them, which is why we stopped having them on ENN entirely. We're just like, okay, this guy, he doesn't change up his routine. Good training regimen in a public gym. Oh my God. I mean, CrossFit could change his life right there. He would get kicked out almost immediately. It would put them in the same quandary that every other person is put into, which is like, this is an insufferable and toxic person, but they're like handicapped. So what can we do? How can we get rid of them without being bad people? Which is like, there's some dynamic tension in that whole thing. I'm not immune to the comedy of this whole aspect. I love it. Revel hacked a path through the brambles while Stirs and Revel hacked a path through the brambles. Yellow Hat and Stirs lugged the heavy boat after the nobleman. Revel hacked a path through the brambles. Yellow Hat and Stirs lugged the heavy boat after, cursing him with every step. I like that they're cursing him with every step. IRC is my favorite soap opera. I mean, that's what keeps us coming back to this. So I used to play World of Nerdcraft pretty obsessively, as like anybody who plays that game will do it obsessively. It's designed to fuck with your reward centers. So I used to play that all the time, and eventually the game becomes exceedingly boring. Like, you've done everything. You just and its designers are pretty lazy in terms of coming up with new content, and it's just a challenge to keep logging in. But what keeps you coming back is the relationships. Like, you're in a guild of people, and you like hearing about all the shit that they're doing, and they need your help with tasks and so forth. It's honestly, it's the community that keeps anybody coming back to anything, which I think about, like looking at the single person watching the editing stream right there. But it's just weird how like social connections are what keep people doing almost anything long past the point where they love what they're doing any longer. And it's just kind of like an interesting. I mean, we were meant to, we were originally hunter gatherers for the most part. Like, if you stay at the same place doing the same thing, you'll die. The water will run out. You'll eat all the berries in the area, or lions will just wise up to the fact that, like, hey, why don't we just eat that motherfucker? There's Big Milkness right there. Let me see. They slogged on until even the bard was miserable. Yellow Hat pestered El Shalah for more cane hourly. She always refused. And was refused every time. I like that better. As the day burned on, his eyes narrowed into reptilian slits. The fiend was stirring. After lunch, Revel ordered Hat to switch places with Stirs so they could keep an eye on him. After they bolted lunch... After a hasty lunch, Revel ordered Hat to switch places with Stirs so they could all keep an eye on him. Two wired into my Philo Pi. Cooing at the screen internally. Main hoe will meet side hoe too. Gotta keep moving. Oh, it's true. After a hasty break for lunch, Revel ordered Hat to switch places with Stirs, comma, so they could all keep an eye on him. Every time you have so in a sentence, you need a comma before it. At the prow, Yellow Hat shivered and hissed poisonous little mutters upriver. The Rakar babbled along with him. Behind him, Stirs the Hook looked daunted. Behind him, Stirs the Hook looked daunted. He flinched at every rustle on the riverbank and got lost, peering into the darkness between the trees. None of them were comfortable, but Stirs was completely out of his element. It was the first time in his life he'd ever left Tinkerton. When a bear nosed its way out of a blueberry bush to peer at the canoe, Stirs screamed in terror. The others laughed so hard they nearly capsized. On the docks of Laz, Stirs... So, like, in a tempo ways, there are, as you read through the whole sentence, you can feel like that this tempo... Stirs the Hook was a hard, brutal man on the docks of Laz. On the Rakar, he was hopeless at everything but rowing. Luckily, there was plenty to be done. Yellow Hat and El Shalah contributed what they could, but the real work fell on Stirs and Revel. With tireless, powerful strokes, the two men drove the canoe upriver. Okay, cool. So I think that like fixes the... because we have to realize, like... this will eventually be read aloud, probably. And I want to take some strain off of whoever has to read it by having our sentences flow as read. And like my theory is that if something is flowing when you're reading it... all right, hold on. Is that fucking... Is this moron back in... That's cute. Has QPT been spamming for the past 6 hours, like from midnight to 6 a.m.? Holy shit. And I thought I had no life. Oh, the drama is never ending. What a dunce. Luckily, there was plenty to be done. Yellow Hat and El Shalah contributed what they could, but the real work fell on Stirs and Revel. With tireless, powerful... why is powerful even in there? With tireless strokes, the two men drove the canoe upriver. See, that's even better. There we go. To take her mind off her aching shoulders, El Shalah drifted her eyes across Revels. If only they were alone. Salacious thoughts swept her back to her father's bedchamber, and the daydream foundered. I wish I could tirelessly stroke. Same. Uh, it says he writes all of his books for being read aloud. Yeah, it seems to be. I mean, I just think my writing got like 10 times better once I started doing like this editing aloud thing. So Jiro says, I've never in my life stepped into a canoe with another person and not wanted to murder them within 30 minutes. I'll tell you, like, so I had the experience. Like, I used to just take friends out for canoe trips, like, all the time. And we would go through the Barataria preserves, and there were alligators all over the place. And it's, like, a really cool time. And one of my homies, JMO, came out to canoe with me. We were just going through the swamp. And, like, hop in the canoe with him. And it's not, we're fucking going nowhere. Like, when I'm rowing, he's rowing the other way, and vice versa. And like, he's like, that's not how you fucking canoe, and so forth. I was like, what? And it was just weird how with him there was like all this friction in the canoe, and every other person I'd ever gone out with, I never even thought about it. We just rowed, like everybody knows how to row a fucking canoe for the most part. But with this one person, I had like that friction, and it was like a component of our relationship. For a long time. Like, we both worked at the same hotel for a little bit, and we were both well, there was like a great deal of entanglement or whatever. We weren't fucking each other, but we were like very, very close friends, and there was always that like complication that I think both of us were like, that I'm going to be in charge of the shit that we're doing type people, and we like really cross swords frequently. They make you do canoe drills in the Boy Scouts. It's just like if you are with another person and you're like chill together, you can row a canoe together. IMO. You'll just like figure it out. It'll be like a little laughing, but you'll get the hang of it because it's just natural. You just figure it fucking out. But it's weird. It was weird to me how like the sort of status tension between two people translated that into them not being able to row a canoe together. And it just really made me think about how certain like physical acts are inextricably linked to how we see ourselves, and like what we think our position should be, and so forth, and in like our social structure and so forth. Fascinating. So let's to take her mind off her aching shoulders, El Shalah drifted her eyes across revels. If only they were alone. Salacious swat. Hold on, I wonder if there's a better thoughts. Scrutiny. No, none of those are right. Salacious thoughts swept her back to her father's bedchamber. Salacious thoughts swept her back to Arast's bedchamber. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No way did I use salacious 2 paragraphs ago. That's not fucking there. We didn't use salacious. Lascivious is what we used with Yellow Hat, and that was like a chapter ago. So you were close, but yeah, there we go. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I wouldn't use salacious twice without like really fucking up. Okay, and then this should be a new paragraph. Then we can take out overburdened with supplies, because we went and described it like a little bit earlier. The 4 travelers had to disembark often and scramble over stones or muddle up riverbanks. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Revelwood hacked. That's pretty bad. Revel hacked past through the brambles. Yellow Hat and Stirs lugged the heavy boat after, cursing him. There we go. Long canoe. Is it getting warm in here for anyone? It really just is like a constant stream of penis references, but that's what the reader wants, you know. To take her mind off her aching shoulders, El Shalah drifted her eyes across rebels. If only they were alone. Salacious thoughts swept her back to her rasped bedchamber. Mm-hmm. Uh, those evanescence, bringing her back. Bring me back to life. God. Ugh. Um, to take her mind off her aching shoulders, El Shalah drifted her eyes across revels. If only they were alone. Salacious thoughts swept her back to a harassed bedchamber. Mm-hmm. Um, First moment of heterosexuality in quite some time. Good on you. Um, oh yeah, I'm not in the. I think you can get away with like one exclamation point every like 3 chapters in the narrative. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not as leery of exclamation points. Exclamation points used to be much more powerful than they are, and like a lot of their power has been kind of stripped by the fact that people just use them constantly in text messages and so forth. All right. Let's see. Yeah. You see Rondito complaining in the LRH chat? That's ridiculous right there. So he's complaining because this he has like a creepy stalker dude that keeps posting ASCIIs of him pissing in his own mouth. And he's like, I'm gonna start doing that. How would you feel if I posted those images of you every week? And people already do that. Like everybody has like an ASCII of like a big dick like coming across the screen over here and just zapping right at me, or like I'm was stupid with like the arrow pointing to me and shit like that. Ugh. Marking you down on my list as an exclamation point after your name. Mm-hmm. The daydream foundered, and she redoubled her rowing. She became caught in a terrible cycle of rumination. She would row harder, tire, and slip back into fantasy. The worry was already always there, ready to pounce. Mm-hmm. The worry. I don't like it gnawing at her right there because we're already a little wordy in this paragraph right here. So let's take her mind off her aching shoulders. Al Shala drifted her eyes across Revel's broad back. If only they were alone. Salacious thoughts swept her back to Arras' bedchamber. The daydream foundered, and she redoubled her rowing. She rode harder and became caught in a terrible cycle of rumination. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. Yeah, so Rebel and Stirs are like they're the workhorses. They're the two cylinders that are firing correctly, and then El Shalah and Yellow Hat are like, God, they're like, oh, the fucking Yellow Hat seized up with cocaine and there's oil leaking out of El Shalah. Oh, he did. So, so I want to have a little. This chapter is El Shalah's POV, and we're putting it more into there. I'll tell you one of the things that I've noticed is that our POV is not apparent at the start of chapters, which the Pistons. Oh. To take her mind off her aching shoulders, El Shalah drifted her eyes across Revel's broad back. If only they were alone. Salacious thoughts swept her back to Aras's bedchamber. There, the daydream foundered. She rode harder and became caught in a terrible cycle of rumination. She would redouble her efforts, tire, and then slip back into fantasy. The worry was always there, ready to pounce. Each time she envisioned telling Aras she lost the gate orb, the scene grew darker. After 100 repetitions, dying on the desolate... 100 is too many. After a dozen repetitions, dying on the desolate river seemed mild by comparison. So, this is a big, weighty paragraph, and what its goal is to remind her, like, she's worried about this fucking orb. Her motivation for taking a canoe up a river and entering a dungeon full of interdimensional demons has to be pretty strong, and it was not strong earlier. Like, you get that she's like kind of worried, oh, my dad will find out, I'm fucked. Girl slime. Jesus. Yellow, what is that? Yellowhead turned back to face the others. El Shalah scowled at him. He'd interrupted a particularly lurid phrase. El Shalah scowled at him. He'd interrupted a particularly lurid phase. She raised her oar, ready to brain him if this was another lame plot. She raised her oar, ready to brain the bard if this was another lame plot to wheedle Cain. I like it. Yeah, so this is a phase of the cycle of rumination that we basically we're saying that her mind state is that she's constantly rotating between thinking about getting railed and afraid that her dad will find out that her magic ball was stolen. Whoa. So I like that she's like, no. This was no act. A deep hum rose over the river's rush. I don't like rushing river. A deep hum rose over the rush of the Rakar. So that is indeed a bad comma. Yeah. So I'm gonna have a semicolon there, because those two phrases. It's really that colon could be because he'd interrupted, and we need a semicolon there. I don't. It doesn't work as two separate sentences. So that's one of the few places where we got a semicolon it up. But it is indeed congratulations, Sarah. I'm gonna moving on up to spot 5 or spot 4 actually. And so congratulations. Let's see. I know what I mean by the phrase. Yeah, I think it. Yellow Hat turned to fit. Yellow Hat turned back to face the others. What is that? Yellow Hat asked. He turned back to face the others. El Shalah scowled. He'd interrupted a particularly lurid phase. She raised her oar, ready to brain the bard if this was another lame plot to wheedle Cain. But this was no act. A cloud drifted before the sun, and a deep hum rose over the rush of the Rakar. No, I like twisted there. That's actually a good verb. There we go. What is that? Yellowhead asked. He twisted back to face the others. I like that. So we put him at the front of the boat, right? Which I think is going to be, that was an addition here. I like the verb twisted better than turned, because it is like a twisting motion. So that one tracks. And that's what we're trying to set up here. We're like, oh shit. A deep hum rose above the rush of the river. Let's take a look at this was no act. Needs to be connected to a. Let's take a look. It was no ruse. Nah. Let's You could say something like, "For once, it wasn't an act," but I think we lose. This was no act. Yeah, I'm at the position where even if that is grammatically incorrect, but he wasn't acting. Nah, that doesn't work. But this was no act. You can take out but. This was no act. So essentially, this right there, the subject of the sentence is implied through that it's him twisting back to face the others. So, like, we have subject, to be, and then what it is not. This was no act. I think it is a complete sentence, honestly. Yeah, like we have all the elements of a sentence. So the main thing there is that this is the subject of the sentence. So like I get your feeling that there's something like missing there, but I don't think it's that it's not a complete sentence. I think it just may, and it doesn't work better as an em dash to the previous sentence. I like ploy. Oh, actually, I like ploy better than plot right there because it's not a plot; it's a ploy. Yeah, you're getting Milkness is like actually getting a bunch of accepted word choice things today, which is really really solid right there. Those are not easy to get because usually I'm like a tanker or something. Nah, what I really mean is this, but I like that it's a lame ploy. But this was no act. A cloud drifted before the sun, and a deep hum rose over the rush of the Rakar. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't like that. Yeah, it's swarm time. The current was strong here. They began drifting downstream. Okay, cool. So this is I like where we're getting. It's like what the fuck. I like also that the juxtaposition of her like constantly ruminating about getting fucked by her boyfriend and worrying about her dad, and everybody's like, oh, we're having a hard time. They're really having like a difficult time with just the act of getting up the river, and they're in this bad mood, and then you get this like, ah, shit's about to get worse. I like that narrative flip, that flow, as you will, right there. Uh oh, why did why did my fucking oh, the computer was like thinking about falling asleep? Maybe I don't know what the fuck that was. I had to starting a section with a conjunction. Uh, get some amateur grammarians upset. That's one where I know I don't like to say leave it for the editor, but that's a fight to have with a proofreader and editor right there, because I don't think it tracks when we put it with the previous sentence. Avoiding these if I care about those kind of people. It's not my job here to get to like that quite that level of granularity. The main thing that we want to do is if we want the book to sound good, right? So let's see how that sounds. What is that? Yellowhead asked. He twisted back to face the others. El Shala scowled. He'd interrupted a particularly lurid phrase. El Shala scowled. He had interrupted a particularly lurid phase. She raised her oar, ready to brain the bard if this was another lame ploy to wheedle Cain. But this was no act. So that's how I would read. I would read it with emphasis on this. But this was no act. Almost in like a movie. But this was no act. Yeah, I hear you. So let's try it both ways. This was no act. This was no act. A cloud. Huh. But this was no act. Yeah, we can just take out the conjunction. That's it. This was no act. Yeah. So I'm actually going to give Era a point there. I think we tried it a few different ways, but boom. Yeah, thank you for doing like a bit of research. I'm acceptable with this. The other part of it is I don't want to have an M dash in there because we're already fucking with a oh, so what time is it? I have a hard stop for this shit at 9 a.m. because I'm going to the aquarium. I'm excited to go to the aquarium, actually. No, we would never italicize there. You could. I know what you're saying, but no. Just that's where that gets like really ham-fisted. This was no act. This was no act. El Shala scowled. He had interrupted a particularly lurid phase. I like that. I really like that. Even though it's like kind of clunky, I like that we talk about like her constant hormonal cycle of getting railed, getting fucked. And that like counterbalanced with like these creepy feelings about her father and so forth. To me, that's interesting, but also kind of creepy. One must. All right, there we go. This was no act. A cloud drifted before the sun, and a deep hum rose over the rush of the Rakar. Stir's neck twitched. Stir's neck twitched as he pulled in his oar and grabbed his hook. Revel tried to... The current was strong here. Revel stopped rowing too. Revel stopped rowing and reached for his sword. The canoe began to drift downstream. The current was strong here. Okay, that's important. Yeah, you can see like the confusion as I'm writing that. Thank you for fixing commas as I'm typing them. It used to be like if you go back to like the very first edit, I think, which we did for. God, did I start on fucking Gravid with this? I just had no idea where commas would go or whatever. It really took me like 2 or 3 years of doing this on stream before my commas were even like close to right. And it was a constant battle, and you can see here at like my. I feel like I'm slightly diminished, although I'm gaining some steam. Where like I slip back into that lazy style of writing, where it's like these sort of unnecessary starting phrases like at once and as and blah 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 blah, and it's just because I'm like a little worn down, I guess. But we'll get back to it there. Yeah, I really feel like, and when I'm on a diet that is particularly low in carbohydrates for the most part, and trying to get like about 6 hours of sleep a night, and like not drinking whatsoever, that I'm like much sharper, and it's easier to get good writing done. I feel like my presence here is well, it is a good influence. You're helping me a lot. Mm-hmm. A bee landed on the blade of El Shalah's oar. Another joined it. Then there were four. Then the air was suddenly full of buzzing streaks circling the canoe. Mm-hmm. Revel ceased rowing. Ah. Oh, look at this. And Ceased his rowing to scan the area. Let's go back to Revel. Stop rowing. Revel reached for his sword. No one was rowing. The strong canoe began to push the canoe. The strong current began to push the canoe back downstream. All right, that's better. There are thousands of species of bees. When we first introduced them, um, while this is true, I don't know that it's the right time to get into specifics about bees. Oh, it's a shame we don't have Kakama for the stream right here. Just because like this is meant to be a moment of dramatic tension. Like yeah, like I think you can just say bee and somebody will immediately imagine a honeybee. Uh, taxonomy. We'll see. Like what this is. Yeah, hold on. Let me just focus on rewriting because like this is rewriting the entire paragraph. So I yeah. Let me knuckle down. Like that he's like at the swarm. Um, Let me see. Just FYI, generally, like a swarm of bees is only like 10 to 30,000 individual bees, which would be 20 to 60,000 individual wings. Um, What is the word for the side of a canoe? Gosh, shut up. Fucking, I hate that. Let me see. Gunwale. What do you call like the edge of a boat? Starboard, the cleat, all round white light, hull. Oh yeah, gunwale is what we want. Yeah, gunwale is it. Is it really pronounced gunnel? Oh, that's crazy. Hold on. Gun whale. That must sound so stupid. All right, hold on. I bet, gun. Oh, there's no H. God, fuck off, first dicks. I gotta fix that.
Gunnel.
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 Wow. I never would. I would have been saying that wrong, fucking forever. Uh, Stop! Stir shouted. I wonder if Stirs the Hook can fucking swim. Uh, uh, yeah, man. Why don't we have him not be able to swim? Mm-hmm. Oh god, look at all the effort that I was putting into. Look at all these fragments of story. Oh, I didn't realize that boatswain is bosun, and then coxswain was coxswain. Uh, yeah, Bill O'Reilly getting furious on the stream there. Stop! Sure shouted. Um, Let me see. Uh, yeah, it really is like fuck it. We'll do it. I mean, everything I do is kind of improvised, and like strung together and half-assed, and I don't know why, but this is the way that we do it. Yeah, it's the only way I can get anything done is just to plunge into it, and hopefully it turns out okay. The air was so thick with bees they could not see either bit. Mm-hmm. Virtually every single naval term. Were you like in the old Navy? Starboard is starboard, topsail is topsail, capstan is captain. Um, I have never heard somebody say starboard, topsail. It's all chivalrous. Captain. I have said captain. They say that in the Air Force too. But yeah, I've never heard starboard or topsail. That's ridiculous. But yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, retired U.S. Navy. You chair. I didn't do anything in the chair force. They kicked me out pretty quick. So they were like, "What's with this character doing all this crazy shit?" Yeah, they made a poor choice. But yeah, the big USN. Good job retiring, getting the fuck out of there. I might be interviewing. Hopefully, this will work out. But I might be interviewing a former USMC. I wonder if he was a gunnery sergeant. That's, in my mind, like everybody should be a gunnery sergeant at some point in their lives. But anyhow, former USMC dude who is like a famous science fiction writer. I might interview him in a little bit. I gotta reach in like a week. I'll reach back out to him and see where he's at. But yeah, fucking. I don't know if you ever talk with. I mean, obviously you've talked with Marines if you were in the Navy, but it is a singular experience. Those are some wild individuals right there. Ah, yeah, they too have their own fucking weird Navy or Marine Corps language. Mm, what kind of a fucking Twilight is it? Let me see. Is it a buzzing Twilight? Is it a insectoid Twilight? Oh, I wish you could get away with that because that sounds fucking amazing. I love insectine Twilight, but The swarm blotted out the sun and cast them into a flickering twilight. The bees blotted out the sun and cast them into a flickering twilight. Mm-hmm. He gripped the gunwale in panic as the boat rocked back and forth. Let me see. Yeah, blotted out the sun is very cliche, but they're literally like blotting out the sun. Um, we can try to find a better way to say it in a second there. I need to like somehow get across like how stupid he is. Like oh shit. One sec. I have to respond to this. Okay, cool. Apiamency. Let me see. The swarm was upon them. I like that his response is to just try and attack the swarm, and it's just fucking useless. But we need, it's an inherently ridiculous action. Yeah. The swarm was upon them. Revel stood up. Revel acted first. He stood and swung his sword at them. Stop! Sturz shouted. He gripped the gunwale in a panic as the boat rocked back and forth. The boat rocked back and forth. Revel acted first. He swung. Early naval wasps. He stood up and swung his sword to no effect. Stop! Sturz shouted. To no effect, except sending. I would love to work in that he impotently swung his sword, but impotently doesn't work. Yeah, yeah, it absolutely doesn't know infinite. Very clever. Uh, wah, wah, wah. Yeah, I'm impotent to make impotent work in this sentence. I like it. I really like it. I just can't figure out how to put it in. Yeah. Swip surge. Yeah, that's actually like a good note there. uh, Revel leapt to his feet and attacked with impotent strokes of his sword. Ugh. Stirrers gripped the gunwale in a panic as the canoe swayed. Wade in the water, swayed. I think I missed another one right there. Yeah. The swarm was upon them. Revel stood up and swung his sword in an impotent attempt to. No, that's not good. Um, Let me see. Yeah, I'm already there. Revel. Revel stood up and swung his sword ineffectually. Mm-hmm. We can't. It just doesn't fucking work. Oh, with impotently. The swarm was upon them. Revel stood up and impotently swung his sword. Mm-hmm. Um, I did like Revel stood up and impotently swung his sword about. I like the swinging it about like ah. All right, I'm gonna give you both a point for your persistence in getting impotently in there. I think an editor might cut it, but I really like the fact that he's impotent. This is not. I will tell you though, this is not a comedy, right? We can't get away with fucking Discworld style nonsense or whatever. It just like we can have darkly humorous interludes, but we can't just have things that are stupid for their own sake. Oh, I like flailed. Revel stood up and impotently flailed his sword. Mm-hmm. They were cast into a flickering twilight. Ah, flickering twilight is gay. That don't work. Revel stood up and flailed his sword, impotent. Furious cauldrons of bees. I'll cut the editor. Yeah, his actions. A million bees is a lot of fucking bees, by the way. This would be like you get that with like locusts. You don't really get it with bees. So we'll have to. Oh, let's see. The swarm was upon them. Revel stood up and flailed his sword impotently. The air was so thick with bees they could not see the opposite bank. The imagery of him attacking a shadow. Oh, I really like that. Revel stood up and flailed his sword. I like that. Revel stood up and flailed his impotent sword. Against the droning mass, he might as well have attacked his own shadow. A billion bees? Oh my god. That's so bad. That's the worst. That's the worst one fucking yet. Ugh. Ugh. Although, really good suggestion on the attacking his own shadow right there. I think it does a good job. Drowned by the drone? Her voice was drowned by the drone of a million wings. A swarm was upon them. Flailed his impotent sword. He might as well have attacked his own shadow. They were caught in a flickering twilight. The air was so thick with bees they could not see the opposite bank. I like it. Okay. Uh, I like that. Yeah, that's perfect right there. Um, Having been in a swarm of bees, I can confirm that they basically ram you pretty hard. Yeah, that's a solid one. I'm giving a. I like that too, because in a second she's gonna have to cast a spell. There's gonna be like little fucking bits of bee in her mouth. Nick Cage. Oh, I didn't see Wicker Man or whatever. But yeah, that's. I'm gonna give both of you some points right there. I like this. Yeah, I didn't think about all of those little fuckers bouncing off of you. Mm-hmm. writhing hailstones. Nah, I'll probably never watch. I don't watch any movies, to tell you the truth. Yeah, this is all. I've just gotten so lazy about consuming media. Like I just can't. I can't picture like sitting down for like 2 hours to watch something, unless it's at the draft house where they're like bringing you fucking nachos. Well, isn't everything that Nick Cage is in like intentionally bad? Like I was so fucking pissed that they cast him in The Color Out of Space. Ridiculous. But then it's just like, oh, why consume media seeing as you were a content creator? Well, I mean, you're supposed to like keep an eye on what's going on in your genre and make sure that you're not ripping people off and shit. But like, I spend so much time writing, I don't have any energy to watch or read sometimes. Bees bounced off every surface in a living hail. I like that. I like living hail. Okay. All right, give me 1 second, and I shall be right back. Let me see. What do we got there? Oh yeah, why the fuck did they make? Why did they put him in Ghost Rider? Yeah, I really want to see Midsummer in theater, but the girl that I would have seen it with, I was like in the process of like breaking up with her and didn't wind up going to see it. Yeah, Con Air was like Con Air, and I think he wasn't he in The Rock too? That was back when he was. They like put in some effort into his movies, and they were like pretty decent. And apparently he was good in Leaving Las Vegas too. But oh, yeah, that's my great fear that I'll become like the Nick Cage of writers. Ugh, wretched. Wasn't he in like What's Eating Gilbert Grape or some shit like that too? He was in something like that, like one of those similar type. Oh my god, I've only got 10 minutes left to write. So we do have a hard stop here. Stirrers gripped the gunwale in panic as the boat swayed wildly. Yeah. Bees bounced off every surface in a living hail. Yeah. Honestly, like I had a few offers to become the Nick Cage of writing and just do writing for like shitty fucking knockoff, not like Star Wars level of writer and so forth, because they actually give those to people who can sort of write. But yeah, if I just wanted to make some fucking money, I'd just pull a Dan Abnett and write for Games Workshop or some toy company or something like that. Because that's honestly that's where like the steady money in writing is, and like they do not have high requirements for their quality. They really don't. Ugh. But I mean, then you have to live your life as Nick Cage. Bees bounced off every surface in a living hail. Yeah, fun sesh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me see. Yeah, yeah, Arrow's around from time to time there. Yeah, I can't believe I've been working on this fucking chapter for like days, and I haven't even rewritten a part of it. But ooh, yeah, napalm is milkness, and then Era is Era, and currently pumping out 3 chats per day. Wow, what a that's a prolific chat ratio. Oh, all right, cool. I just had somebody to hassle me to play some board games. Board games. What do I got here? A living hail of bees bounced off every surface. Uh, yeah, he's fucking he's. I like that he's out of his he's out of his element here, but he'll develop as the story goes on, and it is it's kind of like a neat part of the story that he sort of gets his bearings as an adventurer, and you get to see like how his experiences as a leg breaker have kind of informed it. All right, got 4 minutes left to finish this chapter. Hmm. I like yeah, yeah. Hmm. Oh, I like mellow yellow. I never called him mellow yellow uh, through the entire fucking story. I had never thought of that. I've spent like years working on this book, and I never thought to call this motherfucker mellow yellow. I like how his eyes get tinged ochre when he's getting zooted on the cane. It's 9 o'clock. All right. Well, I would love to keep pushing through this, but I still have not finished this fucking chapter. We've been so lazy with this, or I've been so lazy with this. I really did work quite hard on it in the last couple of days, but sometimes you're flowing, and sometimes you can't jerk a drop. But let's do. We spent ground to a halt, day 17, 1.8, and also rewrite. We did do a good job on the 1.6 rewrite a little bit. And let me see. I did this for 2 hours and 54 minutes. 2:54. So I like that in a fucking stretch of the story about how they're not having smooth sailing. The editing is going very rocky for me. Stupid. Yeah, it won't usually be this bad. And we're now at a part where so the reason why this is going so long is that the original thing it just didn't like track with the story, and this B idea is something that I can use to set up for something that happens later in the story that will both advance the plot, and it's more inexplicable than just like if you just outright see a demon there, it's like, oh, okay, demons are something I've seen before. So when we actually, there are demons in the story. So when you encounter one, I want that to be the moment where like, oh, this is what it's all about. Like that's what these things are. But yeah, I'm under the wheel, but I shall rise again. All right. And I like that we get to develop the El Shalah character now and have her worrying about it, so we can increase her motivation right here. We've done like some significant work to paint Stirs as more human there, which is something that I wanted to do there. And here we're going to lean a little heavier on Yellow Hat is weird and give him a specific purpose for being in the story other than just a comedic foil. All right, so work has been done. Not as much as we need, but like one thing at a time. You know what I'm saying? All right, so I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna go to the aquarium. Wish me luck. Penis pump.